Welcome back. Toronto broke a temperature record high today, hitting a high of 14 degrees, beating the previous record of 9.1 set in 2006. And now with your 5-day weather forecast, we go to Katie Boyven.
Today, Toronto woke up to spring-like temperatures, reaching the high of 14 degrees early this morning. Scattered showers are expected throughout the day, with gusty winds getting up to 70 kilometers per hour. Before morning, temperatures will dip to a low of -4. That short vacation is gone for good as we go into Thursday, where we see 40% chance of flurries and a high of -3 degrees. Mix of sun and clouds as we go into the weekend, but we're still seeing those negative temperatures with a high of -7 on Saturday. Flurries are expected for all day Sunday with a chilling low of -9. That's all for your weather update. Now back to the newsroom. I'm Katie Boyven.
Thanks, Katie. Rescue workers have resumed a search for 2 missing quarry workers in L'Epiphanie, Quebec, north of Montreal. A man and woman in their 40s are thought to be buried under gravel after a landslide hit the quarry Tuesday. Last night, rescue efforts were paused as darkness made it difficult to navigate shifting ground in the deep pit. Police dogs and thermal cameras have not been able to detect the missing people. So far, rescuers say 1 empty truck has been uncovered. The cabin of a second truck has not yet been reached. A third worker was rescued and airlifted to hospital on Tuesday. Today, rescuers are expecting the arrival of machinery to aid in the search.
Former U.S. Congresswoman Gabrielle Giffords has joined calls for stricter gun control at a congressional hearing held today. Giffords told lawmakers the time to act is now. Giffords was a victim in a 2011 shooting. The hearing has brought together Democrats and Republicans in an effort to bridge differences on gun control. President Obama is calling for better background checks and a ban on semi-automatic rifles.
The United Nations is pushing for the end of conflict in Syria. More than $1.5 billion has been raised by the UN after Secretary General Ban Ki-moon asked for financial assistance this morning at a conference in Kuwait. The conference comes after nearly 70 young men and boys were executed and dumped in the river in Syria earlier this week. Canada is donating $25 million to help those seeking refuge. The 22-month-old civil war has already claimed nearly 60,000 lives. Close to 700,000 have fled to neighboring countries.
South Korea is taking its space program to the next level. The country launched an observational satellite into orbit this morning. The rocket blasted off from a launch pad near the southwest coast. This is the first time South Korea has successfully launched from its own soil. This comes just weeks after North Korea's controversial long-range missile test. Washington and Seoul have called the North's test a cover-up for testing banned ballistic missile technology.
And now, with your sports, here's Samantha Martin.
Hi everyone, Humber's men's and women's basketball teams are on the road facing off against Fanshawe tonight. Humber's men's team is 9-5 this season after beating Redeemer last week. The Hawks currently sit in 5th spot in the OCAA West Division and are looking for revenge against division-leading Fanshawe. The last time these two teams met was October 30th when the Hawks fell short 97-93 to the Falcons in a double overtime nail-biter. And Humber's women's basketball team will also be looking to retaliate against Fanshawe tonight. The last time these two teams met 3 months ago, the Falcons soared past the Hawks 80-54. The women are also 9-5 this season, coming off a big win last week against Redeemer. The Hawks sit in 3rd place in the West Division, 1 spot behind Fanshawe. It'll be interesting to see how the Hawks fare with the playoffs about a month away. Tip-off is at 6 p.m. tonight for the women and 8:30 for the men. With the shortened season, it's a slower night in the NHL compared to most nights with only 4 games on tap. It's a battle of Eastern Canada as the Sens host the Habs. Montreal is looking for a 5th straight win as they haven't lost since their season opener, and the undefeated Blackhawks travel to Minnesota to take on the Wild. Chicago sits 2 spots ahead of Minnesota in 1st place in the West. In the later games, the Coyotes host Taylor Hall and the Oilers. The Oilers are 3-2 and sit 7 spots ahead of Phoenix, and the Canucks take on the Avalanche at Rogers Arena. The 8th spot Canucks are still facing an identity crisis between the pipes. It'll be interesting to see who gets the start tonight. Moving to the NBA, the Raptors are taking on the Hawks tonight in Atlanta. It's the first of 3 meetings between the two teams this season. The Raptors are 16-29 so far, coming off a loss against the Warriors on Monday night. The 25-19 Hawks are also coming off a loss against the Knicks over the weekend. And things aren't about to get any easier for the Raps heading into the All-Star break, as 7 of Toronto's next 8 games are against teams currently in the playoffs. Even though Markham City Council voted in favor of building an NHL-sized arena last night, there is no promise on the NHL's part that the city will be given a team. Former Executive Director of the National Hockey League Players Association, Paul Kelly, attended the council meeting and says building the arena would give the GTA its best shot at securing a second NHL franchise. But there is no guarantee. That's all for sports. Now back to the studio.
Thanks, Samantha. That's all for Humber News today. Thanks for joining us. I'm Mark Mullen.
I'm Laura Booth. Humber News is written and produced by journalism students at the North Campus. You can also catch us on YouTube. We'll see you next time.